This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome to a Friday edition of the show. We are super excited for our show today. We've got a lot of fun stuff going on. We're going to be talking about the NBA, the NFL. We're going to be touching on some soccer today as well for you football fans out there. And then at the end of the show, we're going to have a whole bevy of folks in the studios. We're going to be playing some sports trivia. Grant is going to look to defend his honor as the reigning trivia champion of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. So it'll be an interesting occurrence, Grant, and I know you've been up all night studying sports trivia, and you are very excited for this opportunity.
Yeah, I have my belt, my discount double check dance all ready to go.
You are very confident, aren't you?
Ready to stomp all over all my opponents.
My goodness. Well, please don't. Well, it is radio, so we can't tell if you do stomp on anybody, but...
No, it's not physically. It's all emotionally.
Emotionally.
I get in their heads.
You crush them emotionally so that physically they are a wreck.
Exactly.
Wow. You are a heartless person. My goodness. But anyway, Grant, thank you again, everyone that is tuning into our show. You can listen to us Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Sports Radio America. We are also here on Spreaker. The official switch for the change for Sports Radio America does start on Monday, Grant, so we are very excited about that to be a part of their organization. You can check out everything for the Bax and Grant Sports Show on iTunes. You can also like the Bax and Grant Sports Show Facebook page, and on top of that, you can also follow us on Twitter at BG Sports Show. So just a whole host of ways, Grant, that people can find us, can't they?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes. Do you have a preference of which way you like to interact with the fans?
Not really. Whatever way they want to interact with us with, I always have it, at least Twitter on my phone. I have Facebook pulled up on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime somebody wants to get in touch with us, I believe one of us are always on the receiving end of that.
Yes, definitely. We've had some good response from people, too, over the past few days with interaction in terms of show topics and just general interaction as well. We posted a picture the other day on the Facebook page of a throwback jersey that I saw of Joseph Adai, the former Indianapolis Colts running back. He won the 2006 Super Bowl with them, and we had somebody got it right, and it was nice to see a little bit more interaction with the fans. So, but Grant, this is not biased at all, I promise, but we're going to spend a little bit of time in sunny Florida today during the show, which I miss because I am from Florida, as you know. And we will be actually doing our show down in Florida over spring break, during the spring break while we were down there with our college choir. So all of those shows will be broadcast from Florida, so we're looking forward to that. But the Miami Dolphins, Grant, I thought Florida was another world to begin with when I moved down there when I was 13. But the Miami Dolphins are taking it to the next level, Grant.
Tell me how they're doing that.
They are putting in living rooms in their suites in the stadium. They're in the process of redoing Sun Life Stadium, which is, I believe, a $400 million renovation that they're doing. But Sun Life Stadium is knocking out seats along the 30-yard line in the lower level of the south side of the Sun Life Stadium and adding in 32 living rooms, quote-unquote. They are going to have 30-inch wide TVs and iPads. There's going to be options for different sizes of TVs, but what they're thinking of doing is really making it almost like you're at home watching the game.
Because you'd rather be at home than actually watching the football game, because nobody actually wants to sit down and watch the Miami Dolphins.
This is just a whole other level of ridiculousness, and I'm like, why? Why do we need to throw in living rooms? I understand the Jacksonville Jaguars they put in a massive jumbotron so people can watch NFL Red Zone while the games are going on.
Because nothing else good is going on.
Basically, if you're a Jaguars fan, you're just like, well, I'm here, but I'd rather see what's going on. But the reasoning behind some of this, from what I've heard, is that it all goes back to fantasy football. Fantasy football is such a big deal right now, and fans can't keep up with the game if they're at a game. They're following, however many players they've got on numerous teams, and sometimes if you have a favorite team, you only are able to draft a handful of those players, so you can only keep tabs on them. So this is not the main reason, but a lot of people are associating the fact that these changes are being made because of fantasy football, so that way people can keep up with other games while they're at the main game.
Well, we've had this conversation before. We both think that fantasy sports, especially fantasy football, has gotten a little bit out of hand. And if that's one of the reasons for this, I would definitely add that to the list of things why it's out of hand. In my opinion, we just need to get back to what football was. You cheer for your team, and that's what it is. During the honors ceremony, they were talking about how fantasy football turned Steelers fans into cheering for the Ravens for certain games. I'm like, what is a problem with the world that is happening?
Yes.
That should never happen.
No.
So that is just absolutely ridiculous. I think fantasy football is getting way too out of hand.
I've kind of strayed away as someone that's a self-proclaimed Green Bay Packers fan. I've semi-strayed away from drafting players with inside the NFC North and Seattle and San Francisco. I really don't have a lot of teams left after that, but I don't like a lot of teams in the NFL, Grant, just because and the Giants. I don't draft people from the Giants, but at the same time, it's to what cost? Because some people are like, I don't care. I'm a proclaimed Buccaneers fan, and I will draft any player on any team. I don't care. And then you have the fans like myself who are like, look, I'm a Packers fan. I'm going to draft Packer players because, number one, the Packers are a very good team. But number two, I'm not going to try to draft players that are going to count against the Packers, because then it does. It comes into that constant back and forth where you're like, oh, yeah, the Packers are winning. But, it's the classic case of, I want the Packers. Let's say the Packers are playing the 49ers, and you have Frank Gore on your team. And you're like, well, I want the Packers to win, but I want Frank Gore to have a good game. So you're like, if the final score could be like, 56-49, the Packers win, but Frank Gore has, 300 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns, that would be great. So then you're like, you're back and forth, and it pulls your loyalty, and it's really difficult. And fantasy football is a whole other topic, Grant. But that's the fact that this is one of the driving reasons behind the Dolphins putting in living rooms, quote unquote, in their stadium is a bit ridiculous. But another thing I want to touch on, it's just a rumor right now, but Brandon Marshall, staying in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears wide receiver, a fantastic wide receiver. He's only been in the league since 2006, but he's already accumulated 773 receptions. He is just an animal on the field. Yeah,
and when they were talking, he was kind of joking about going to the Ravens. It was never a for sure thing that he's thinking about it, but it would be interesting to think of not seeing him in a Bears uniform anymore.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I'd definitely be okay with that, because then who else would the Bears have? They really wouldn't have...
They have Alshon Jeffrey and Matt Forte and Martellus Bennett, but...
But Brandon Marshall's their big-name guy.
He is, yeah.
So if they lost him, they wouldn't have... Even though they do have those other players, he's their big wide receiver. I don't think they would have a downfield threat like Brandon Marshall anymore.
No. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey does have good hands, but he's still very young and still has a long time to develop within the league. And now that John Fox is the new head coach in Chicago, there is a chance that they might be able to work everything out. And like I said, this is all pure speculation, but Brandon Marshall has kind of alluded to the fact that a move to Baltimore wouldn't be the worst idea. He's not opposed to the idea. He's had conversations with John Harbaugh, joking or not. For those that don't know, Brandon Marshall is an analyst on Inside the NFL, a show that is on Showtime. And every Tuesday during the NFL season, he flies out to New York to do the show. Now, the Bears organization had an issue with that because Tuesday is the off day for the Bears during their week of training, but that's also the time that they'd like their players to rest and recoup. And they think that because Marshall would be going out to New York and not getting the proper rest time he needs, it was affecting his playing. But then at the same time, he's also talking about players on the Bears and just around the NFL as well. And they don't think that as an organization that's something they want one of their top players doing. But Baltimore, John Harbaugh was like, I don't care if you do the show. It's not a big deal. So, granted or not, take it or leave it, there is that rumor starting to emerge around the NFL of whether or not that might happen. Baltimore might be losing Torrey Smith, one of their top wide receivers this season. Steve Smith is a very old but still talented wide receiver. And then after that, they've got Jacoby Jones, who's nothing that great. Owen Daniels, he's a solid tight end. He's a Wisconsin Badger product. But other than that, somebody like Brandon Marshall would really help Baltimore, I think, become a consistent threat in the AFC again, especially after they finished third in the AFC North with a 10-6 record.
Right, and especially the Ravens that don't have a high explosive offense, so to have an explosive offensive player would be nice to have, because the Ravens have always been known for their defense, but not really their offense at all.
Exactly, yes. They're similar in terms of the Seattle Seahawks, I think you could almost call it, as they were always very well known in terms of the defense back when they had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and a lot of those bigger names. Terrell Suggs, even now, they are great at getting up in your face and causing a lot of issues, thus allowing guys like Joe Flacco to be pretty decent quarterback. He's not a terrific quarterback, but I would take him over Jay Cutler if I had to choose between the two.
Right, definitely.
Grant, one other thing in terms of Florida, obviously, here, I'll tie this all together. So, Miami Dolphins, we talked about, they're getting living rooms. Brandon Marshall, he's a University of Central Florida product now in the NFL. It's a bit of a reach, but it still works. And then now a Green Bay Packers player, Letroy Guyon, is facing felony charges. Because why, Grant? Tell the good people why.
He had a sidearm, $190,000 almost, and 357 grams of marijuana in his car. He was pulled over for a routine stop because he was having lane issues.
He was having trouble staying in one lane.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
I mean, sometimes I do. But, I mean, that's in the wintertime, and this is Florida, so...
True. As someone from Florida, we don't get a lot of snow in Florida. I'm just going to tell you that right now, Grant.
I'm absolutely shocked.
I know you were looking forward to it when we go down there in a few weeks.
I just wanted to build a snowman.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a sandcastle.
Dang it.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm upset.
Yeah,
now I can't do the show anymore.
You're going to have to let it go.
Okay.
We're not going to... Anyway, we're not going to get into the Florida version of Frozen, but...
Yeah, anyway, so he was pulled over, routine stop, and the... cops noticed that he was very nervous, smelled marijuana, searched his car, and then found all this stuff. Now, his gun was registered to him, but it was registered to him in Minnesota when he was playing for the Vikings. That's when he got it. Then the cash, presumably you could say, was from marijuana that it looks like he was dealing. And what he said is... he just cashed in his Green Bay Packer checks because he made $1 million this year working for the Green Bay Packers. He was going to use that money to also cover for the taxes and send it to help his family.
Mm-hmm. That's what they all say.
Right.
I'm going to help my family. Grant, I'm looking at this picture. That's a lot of marijuana.
It is.
That is a disgusting amount of marijuana.
2 giant gallon Ziploc bags of marijuana.
And then that's a lot of cash as well. But
right.
I mean, that's aside the point. But when I first heard this story, I was like, oh, maybe it's just a joke or whatever. And then I saw the picture and I'm like, oh my
Not a joke.
Goodness. That is a lot.
He was doing some serious work.
Yeah, I don't even really know what to say.
He should have stuck to golfing in the offseason.
Exactly. That's what a lot of Packer players do. Just go golfing, visit your family. Don't deal marijuana, especially when the Green Bay Packers, who were having concerns about whether or not B.J. Raji was going to be able to return back to full fitness next season, or even if they were going to be able to keep him, let alone, they were talking about long-term plans with Letroy Guyon. And now, more than likely, he's going to get suspended or even be kicked out of the NFL as a whole.
Right, and I feel like he shouldn't even be worried about the NFL right now. I think he needs to worry about the federal government right now because that this isn't anything minor. So I think he needs to be first concerned about this. But I don't have much hope for him in a Green Bay Packer uniform or any other uniform to that matter. He might be done in the NFL after this. For sure, Green Bay, in my opinion. I mean, there's always a chance that
Green Bay is very forgiving. If there's one thing, we're very forgiving. But
because the whole thing
something like this?
Well, Johnny Jolly had
That's
issues,
true.
and he had a couple drug issues, and then he came back, performed well.
But
and then
he took the right steps, though,
right,
to get back.
So it all depends what happens here, but he might even see some jail time after this because I don't. Even though he is an NFL player, and we've seen NFL players...
He's not a prominent NFL player.
Right. But we have seen NFL players get away with a lot, but I don't know how he's going to get out of jail time with something like that. Because if you want to see the picture, just type in Letroy Guyon, and the first ESPN article will pop up, and it's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Pretty hefty picture.
Yep, exactly. So we will see what happens to him in the future. One other quick thing in terms of the Green Bay Packers. Brian Bulaga is a free agent this season. He was a part of the offensive line that kept Aaron Rodgers off his butt for most of the year. I believe that there was only, 5 registered sacks on Rodgers all season long? Something of that nature. And 2 of them came in one game.
Right.
So the fact that Rodgers was not sacked very much allowed him to become an MVP this season like we saw, and he only threw 5 interceptions as well. both of which, 4, I believe, came in 2 games. So either way, Rodgers himself had a terrific season because of having a solid and healthy offensive line. Now, Bulaga missed the 2013 season, came back, only missed 1 game in 2014, had a fantastic season, but now Green Bay needs to think about if they really want to cash in and keep him longer.
And I think they need to do whatever they can to keep the offensive line that they have together. I was reading an article about him, and the offensive line, they say, has great chemistry. Their families know each other. Their families are friends. They always hang out. There was the article before the Seahawks game that said one of their pastimes is they get together and play Settlers of Catan, and it's like cutthroat Settlers of Catan.
Oh, man.
And it was started by those group of guys.
Sure.
And then you go and see them, and they're going to be in a movie now.
Yep, it's Pitch Perfect too.
And they had a fantastic season. I believe they kept them in most of the season. I said they would need to show up to finish out the end of the season well, like they did, to beat the Lions and the Cowboys, and they played extremely well even against the Seahawks. The offensive line stood strong, and for the past couple of years, Rodgers has had awful coverage in the pocket.
That was a big thing, yeah. They've tried to draft linemen the last few seasons to help keep him healthy.
And they finally have a decent line, I would say above decent line. It's probably one of the better offensive line, better offensive line in the NFL. So I think they should do everything that they can to keep him in Green Bay.
Yes, definitely. Well, hopefully the Packers will be able to find the right cash to keep him, along with people like Randall Cobb. But free agency is a tricky market, Grant, and if Bulaga does not re-sign with the Packers, someone's going to want to pay a lot of money to have him on their team. When we come back, we're going to talk about Steph Curry as he is making it rain out in Golden State. Don't go anywhere. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America.
5150, just a side of logo. I'm going crazy. Gonna love you, baby. 5150, somebody call the po-po. I'm going crazy, thinking about you, baby. 5150, just a side of logo. I'm going crazy, gonna love you, baby.
Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
And we are going to talk about the girl on fire. No, that's not it. That's the man on fire, Steph Curry, not Katniss Everdeen. I got my movies mixed up. But Steph Curry.
The NBA isn't a movie, Baxter.
It kind of seems like it is at times. With LeBron, that is like the biggest soap opera ever.
Very true. That is very true.
So if there ever were a Katniss Everdeen to rise up and take out... who is it? The Capitol?
Yes.
Capitol, yes. Yeah. I haven't seen the Hunger Games in a few months, so I'm a little rusty. But let's say LeBron James is the Capitol. He is the man. Steph Curry is Katniss Everdeen, and he is sticking it to the man, as it were, and he is taking over the NBA. He had how many points the other night, Grant?
51 points.
Oh, my goodness. That is amazing.
With 10 three-pointers, and some of them were absolutely ridiculous.
We were watching highlights of that the other day, and I had to turn it
was nasty.
It was bad.
He was
in a good way.
In.
It was bad in a good way. I was embarrassed for the guys trying to defend him.
And it wasn't even like they were doing a bad job. It was even the announcer was like, "Oh, he took a step, and then he was a second late, and his hand is still in his face, and then he's just like, no problem, draining threes from way downtown." There was one that he was like 2 steps back, and the defender was all up in his face, and he just let it go, and it was like, no problem, swish. It was nasty.
And Curry is on the short side of being an NBA player.
Right.
He's only 6'3", 190 pounds. He's been in the league for 5 years. He played at Davidson. He's not exactly known as he wasn't a high product coming out of college. He was drafted in the first round, 7th overall by Golden State, but he didn't go to a huge college. But now he comes in averaging 23.6 points a game, and he averages, he does a good job. He averages about 20.7 career-wise over 5 years, but the way that he is playing right now is off the charts, Grant. Absolutely off the charts. But Golden State, they are doing phenomenal, and that is the reason why they are the number 2 team in the latest NBA power rankings, Grant, only behind the Atlanta Hawks, which first of all is very, very surprising within itself because the Atlanta Hawks for a long time were just awful.
Right.
Absolutely awful.
And it's going to be interesting because they actually play them tonight. So that's going to be an insane game to watch. The top two teams, debatedly, that I think they're the top two teams. So to see them going head to head tonight it's just going to be an awesome matchup. Possible playoff matchup. That'd be interesting to see if those two teams meet in the playoffs. That'd be a great series. But yeah, like you were saying, the Atlanta Hawks have not been good for a long time. So to see them starting,
they have been struggling.
Yeah,
very,
they have,
very
and
much.
so has Golden State to an extent. So to see them both kind of stepping it up, and Steph and Curry just going ham, absolutely ham.
That's the best way to put it, though. Honestly. Golden State 39-8 this season. Atlanta 41-9. Not bad at all. Like you said, the two best teams in the NBA right now, just absolutely doing work. And then behind them, you've got teams like the Memphis Grizzlies. You've got the LA Clippers, Chris Paul and company, Blake Griffin. They're all doing a great job over at the Clippers. Then you've got teams like the San Antonio Spurs, who are always good. Right. They're just one of those teams, Grant, that are just always good.
Yeah, and actually looking at this list, a shocker for me is to see that the Portland Trailblazers have dropped down to the 10th power ranking spot. They are 32-16, and they have, after their 30-8 start, which is fantastic, they've been 2 for 8. So they need to start picking it up because I believe that they are a top team. I believe a lot of people put them in the top. They are another team that used to struggle for years, and last year they made it into the playoffs and had a great playoff run until I believe they met the Spurs in the playoffs. And it was just a tough team. It was a tough matchup for them to overcome, and they did get taken out by them. I believe that's who they got taken out by. But the Trailblazers, I mean, they have to pick it up. They're obviously probably going to make it into the playoffs at this point. But going into the playoffs, you want to be a hot team, and right now they're not a hot team.
No, you need that momentum, especially as long and as grueling as the NBA playoffs are. Looking down the list, Grant, it's not surprising to me. LeBron James leaves Miami, and Miami suddenly doesn't have an offense.
Right.
Dwayne Wade is on the wrong side of 30. Chris Bosh, not terrible, but still. There isn't really a lot of consistent contribution coming from the team, hence the reason they're 21-26. The Milwaukee Bucks, Grant, have a better record than the Miami Heat. I never thought I would say that. And Milwaukee went to Miami and beat the Heat, not themselves. They beat the Heat. What is going on? I'm so confused right now in terms of just a general, just a casual fan.
Well, I don't think anybody was surprised because Chris Bosh, I think, is a little overrated.
True.
Dwayne Wade is getting older. So I don't think anybody is shocked at all to see that once LeBron James left, so did
you
the
had
hype.
The feeling that it was going to happen.
The hype left, and obviously the offense left. And you can just see, last year, Cleveland was absolutely awful.
And now
this year, they're 29-20.
Yep, they're ranked 6th in the Week 14 NBA Power Rankings on ESPN.com. One other surprise, just as we look at these power rankings, well, it's a surprise in terms if you don't follow the league very closely, but it's not a surprise if you do. The Los Angeles Lakers, 29th out of the 30 teams in terms of their power rankings. They're 13-35. Granted, Kobe Bryant, he's done for the year. He will be maybe coming back next year. He's going to play until they bury him alive, basically, in the grave.
Another Brett Favre.
Basically, he just doesn't know when to say enough is enough, unfortunately. But the Lakers are just atrocious. They're 13-35. They're just gunning for a top spot in the draft now at this point. But yeah, it's sad to see some of the teams. But it's sad, but it's good at the same time because obviously people do get tired of the same 6 to 8 teams in the NBA doing good.
Right, and if you wanted to look at the teams in the past, it would be like the Lakers and the Nuggets and the Celtics and the Pistons. And now they're all below 500, and now you have teams like Atlanta, Golden State, Memphis. The Clippers, yeah, they've kind of been around for a while, but the Cavaliers, the Raptors, the Rockets, the Trailblazers that have been bad for a while, now they're stepping it up and playing.
The Pelicans.
The New Orleans Pelicans.
Gosh, I love that name, the Pelicans. Who thought naming a sports franchise the Pelicans would be intimidating? Do you get intimidated by if you had to play the Pelicans, Grant?
Oh, I'd be scared.
Would you?
I'd be so scared. I'd be shaking in my boots.
I can tell. What sport would you be playing that you'd be wearing boots to play a Pelicans team, though, Grant?
The way I play basketball, it's just my normal feet and basketball sneakers.
Sure.
But, I mean, it would be the equivalent of boots.
I see. Okay. Fair enough. Well, anyway, Grant, it's time for the favorite part of the show called Grant's Rant. All right, Grant, do you have what you'd like to rant about, good sir?
Yes, because I know we all missed Deflategate, so I'm going to bring it back so we can talk about it more.
We put it to bed, Grant.
Apparently not. Apparently there's still more to talk about.
You're killing me, Grant.
Because we all love to talk about it.
Well, I cannot dispute what you like to rant about. So 30 seconds on the clock, Grant. Get set, go.
Charles Haley is the only man that has more Super Bowl rings now than Tom Brady with 5, and he has come out and said that all, not just 1, not 2, but all of Tom Brady's rings are tainted and they're dirty and he's a cheater. What I say to that is just, no, you're wrong. And he was like, in the video, he was like, I may be wrong, and I was listening to him like, yeah, you are wrong. Tom Brady is an elite quarterback. These are just minor things. He's going to be an elite quarterback throughout all of his career and his history.
Sounds like someone's a little jealous, even though he's got more rings. But still, Tom Brady.
He did it. Tom Brady did it with 4 teams. Charles Haley, I believe, did it with 2 different teams.
Gotcha. Well, the game was different back in the day, I guess. But yeah, Deflategate, go away, please. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break and we come back and talk a little MLS soccer. And we've got Megan Landvatter and Zach Papenfuss in studio for some hot trivia. Don't go anywhere.
Here we go. All the hicks and chicks feel the flow. Big black train coming round the bend. Go on, kid, folk, tell your mom and them. Chugga-lugga, chugga-lugga, chugga-lugga. Who the big black neck coming through to you? Boy, you done fell and bumped your head. That's what you said. And I'm big and black, clickety-clack, and I make the train jump the track like that.
I play chicken with the train, play chicken with the train. You know that I play chicken with the train, play chicken with the train.
Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, we're going to chat a little bit about the beautiful game, as many people like to call it. I'm talking about football, F-U-T. Well, there's a little
the umlaut.
The little over the U and the B-O-L, football.
The 2 little dots.
Yes,
over the umlaut.
Not the umlaut. No,
not the umlaut.
It's an accent mark over the U. The food. The U. Football. Yes, I don't. Anyway, we're gonna do a quick little look around MLS as they are in full swing for preseason. Right now, some of the big news going on is Sebastian Giovinco, the Juventus midfielder and Italian international, has completed his transfer from the Italian supergiant over to Toronto FC now. So the Reds of Toronto will look to finally make the playoffs for the first time in their club's brief history. They have made some recent signings, Grant, is like Josie Altidore, a U.S. men's national team player, a very consistent contributor for the national team in terms of he gets a lot of caps, in terms of call-ups, but he has been struggling in terms of goals being scored. So by adding Giovinco to the team, Toronto FC will certainly get an opportunity to go out and hopefully make the playoffs, and not only that, but contend for an MLS Cup as well in the Eastern Conference. Looking ahead as well for the U.S. men's national team, they take on Panama on Sunday. I should have had Panama queued up by Van Halen, but I didn't, unfortunately. But they have Panama on Sunday at 3 p.m. This is the friendly match that will be in L.A. at the StubHub Center, where the L.A. Galaxy play their football in MLS. Now, the last time the U.S. played an international friendly, they lost to Chile. They lost 3-2 to Chile. They were up 2-1 at halftime, Grant, and then they just kind of all fell apart in the second half when Coach Jurgen Klinsmann changed the formation from a 3-5-2 to a 4-4-2. And a lot of people had issues with that, Grant, because Jermaine Jones, a typical attacking midfielder, was placed back on defense, and he's still learning the system and doesn't really understand why someone of his nature that likes to attack a lot gets stuck on defense, because even with the 3-5-2, Jones was cheating up the field. And as someone that you know that played more on the defensive side of the ball, Grant, you can't have more men going forward than you have. You gotta have if you're back on defense, you gotta hold still, because otherwise that's going to cause issues all over the place.
Right. The same thing happens in hockey if you have a defender trying to come up and score. I mean, that's fine, but if somebody doesn't drop back, there's an easy breakaway possibility that could happen.
Exactly, and the U.S. have seen that happen to them several times, where they get caught on a counterattack and it just does not end well for anything that is going on for that. But yeah, preseason's still very much in the realm right now. Some of the preseason tournaments, like the Desert Diamond Cup, will be taking place after Valentine's Day. I know my New England Revolution will be taking part in that. Grant, we got to find you a favorite MLS team so you can not just stare at me longingly as I talk about soccer like I do when you talk about hockey.
Is there one in St. Louis?
There's not. They want a team. They've got a second or third division team, but they don't have an MLS team.
Well, then I'll cheer for the second and third division team.
Fair enough. St. Louis, you have Grant's vote. He is supporting you. Go St. Louis. I don't even know what their name is. I think it's St. Louis FC is what they are, but Grant, it's time for a little bit of what if. We will keep it a shorter segment since we have some trivia that we are dying to get to. So our what if segment today. All right, for those of you that don't know, what if is the part of the show where Grant and I both throw out a what if scenario about something that has happened in the sports world, and we basically say, well, what if the opposite happened, or what if this, that, or the other happened? So, Grant, mine is very short and simple, and I know you have one as well for me, but Grant, my what if to you today is, what if Ben Roethlisberger had been convicted for the rape charges that he was accused of? Would the Pittsburgh Steelers still have gone to a Super Bowl, and would they have won the Super Bowl without Roethlisberger?
No, they wouldn't have. I don't think Roethlisberger would be playing in the league anymore, honestly. Or even if he might be playing in the league, but his reputation definitely would be a lot worse than it is right now.
Okay, and then your question for me, Grant?
My question for you is the miracle on ice. What if that never happened? What if the U.S. hockey team never won in the semifinals against Russia?
Well, I think that the issues between the U.S. and Russia in terms of on a global standpoint with the Cold War would have also escalated a little bit as well, because I know that game really drew a lot of international attention. I don't know what the state of hockey in the U.S. might have been after that. Now, obviously, you follow hockey closer than I do, but something like that seems like such a monumental and pivotal point in hockey history in terms of the United States' growth. So losing that game, I think, would have stinted the growth and not maybe have helped the movement that hockey was in America at the time.
Right, and I said, when I asked myself this question, I said the greatest hockey movie of all time would never have been made. And then I would have been really sad, because
that is very true.
Miracle, if you haven't seen it, it's fantastic.
It's an amazing movie.
You need to see it.
Absolutely amazing.
It's well done too. So go out and see that. But yeah, Miracle on Ice, I would say is the most pivotal hockey moment in U.S. history.
Yes, I completely agree. All right, we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, Zach Papenfuss and Megan Landvatter are in the studio. We're going to play some sports trivia. Grant looks to defend his honor, and it's going to be a hot contest. Don't go anywhere. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America.
Another day of living. I just want to celebrate another day of life. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate.
Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Grant, I think, is already celebrating because he is very confident about his abilities in the sports trivia world. But if there's one phrase I can use to describe Zach Papenfuss, it is a grab bag of random and sometimes useless knowledge, unless it comes to trivia games. And Zach, that is one of the many reasons why we love you, is that I can be like, Zach, tell me about this. And you're like, oh, well, did you know this, that, and the other? And then you can, go on for about 30 minutes about one subject that I was like, we started talking about marshmallows, and somehow you related it to the Miami Dolphins. It works.
I mean, a lot of people can do that, in my opinion.
I know I can't. And maybe I'm in the wrong field. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to keep my mouth shut on that one. I got some friends who like Miami.
Oh well, we gotta be careful with that one. There, don't want to offend anybody.
They are the ones that are having the living rooms.
They are putting in living rooms in their stadium, but All right, so the way it works is each of you will be asked 4 questions, and it'll be in order. There's no stealing, no any of that jazz today. So either you get it right or you don't. And then after each of you have gone through 4 questions, if there's a tie, we will continue on from there. Megan, you are the lady of the room, so you will be asked the first question. And these are random questions from all over the sports world. Okay?
All right,
Are you ready for your first question?
Yep, bring it on.
All right. Albert Pujols slammed 30 home runs for which team in 2012? Baltimore, Toronto, Los Angeles, or Kansas City?
Wait. Say that again, sorry.
Albert Pujols slammed 30 home runs for which team in 2012?
Yes.
Baltimore, Toronto, Los Angeles, or Kansas City?
Los Angeles.
That is correct. 1 point for Megan. Grant, you were pounding your chest, and that were you reminiscing of him back in the day on your team?
Oh, yes, winning the World Series. I believe he won that at one time, and I think by the time he left, by the time they won their second one,
I believe
He
so,
left-
yes.
Did he leave in 2000? Was that like 2011 after that season? Did he leave?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
because 2012 was his first year at
All
LA.
right.
All right, Zach, your first question. An ace in volleyball refers to what? A score from a hit, hitting the ball into the net, a score from a serve, or scoring from a set?
I'm going to have to go with a score from a serve.
That is correct, sir. Well done. Well done. Grant, your turn, good sir. As of 2014, Grant, what NFL team has the most Super Bowl championships? The Saints, the Chicago Bulls, the New England Patriots, or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
the New England Patriots.
That is incorrect, sir.
Is it the Steelers?
Pittsburgh Steelers, yes.
Steel City.
Are they down how many?
They have 6. The Steelers have 6. The Patriots, I think they're at 4 with their newest. Yeah, they haven't
4?
won a previous
Okay.
Tom Brady era. All right, so Grant does not get a point. It is unfortunate.
It's okay. It's okay.
All
I
right.
figured I wouldn't know it because I knew the other 2 that you asked.
Megan,
Fair
I
enough.
think, I think Grant's letting us in the door here.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta
I'm-
seize the time now.
I have to step up. I have to make it challenging for myself.
Yes.
So I got that wrong on purpose.
Fair enough. All right, Megan, your second question. Besides the Dolphins, what other team did Don Shula coach in a Super Bowl? The Rams, the Colts, the Raiders, or the Chiefs?
The Rams?
That is incorrect. It was the Colts. The Colts back in the day.
And was that Baltimore Colts?
Yes, pre-Indianapolis.
Okay.
All right, Zach. Coach Larry Brown won an NBA title with whom the year after he left the Philadelphia 76ers? The Detroit Pistons, the Lakers, the Clippers, or the Knicks?
Ooh. After he left who?
After he left the 76ers, he won a title that very next season. With who? The Pistons, Lakers, Clippers, or Knicks?
We'll go with the Lakers.
That is incorrect. It was the Detroit Pistons. So we are
Not
all...
home state.
All right. Grant, a hockey question.
Woo!
During the 2011-2012 NHL season, the Winnipeg Jets played in which division? The Northeast, the Southeast, the Central, or the Atlantic? 2011-2012. Where did the Winnipeg Jets, what division did they play in?
They just started that year.
Mm-hmm. So where did they start off?
I don't remember. I'll just say Atlantic.
That is incorrect.
Yep. I don't
Grant
remember
is
what
0 for
division.
2. My goodness. All right. Megan, a soccer question.
Oh boy.
For which club did Steven Gerrard play for in 2011? Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, or Barcelona?
I'm gonna go with Manchester.
That is incorrect. Your third question is incorrect.
Soccer.
Hey, Baxter, before you click that over to me, switch it back to easy.
Oh, to easy. Yeah, I'll have to switch it back over to easy. All right, Zach, your question, your third question. From what NBA team was their team owner banned for life? The Lakers, the Knicks, the Clippers, or the Bulls? Their team owner was banned for life from the NBA.
The Clippers?
That is correct.
All right.
Do you remember why?
Things I probably can't say on the radio.
That's very good. Let's just say he was not very kind to a certain ethnicity. Anyway, Grant. Golf sensation Tiger Woods left what university to turn pro? Stanford, Michigan, UCLA, or Arizona?
Stanford.
That is correct. Grant saves himself. Last round. Megan and Grant need to get their question right to tie Zach. Unless Zach gets this one correct, then he will win. So, Megan. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner played for how many of these teams? The Giants, the Rams, the Cardinals, or all of these teams?
He played for the Rams and the Cardinals. So 2.
He played for 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
Okay, that is incorrect. He played for all 3 of the teams.
Really?
At some point or another, yes.
Wait, what was the third one?
The Giants. That's news to me. I didn't realize that either, but...
I was going to say he was drafted by the Giants, I think.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't...
That would make sense.
All
then.
right.
Kind of like
Maybe.
how Brett Favre played for the Falcons.
Falcons.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
That is very true. All right.
Alrighty.
Let's see here. The question for Zach. How long is an NHL period? 1 hour, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 60 minutes? An NHL period.
Those are actually some pretty nice options to give, but
That's
maybe
true.
that's because I know.
That's 'cause, yeah, you probably
maybe
know.
because I know.
Well, because the tricky thing here is that I have a friend that plays U18.
Oh, and their
those-
period
and those
lengths might be
period
different.
lengths are different.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they play 17 minutes.
Hmm.
So now do I go 10 or I'm going to say 20.
That is correct.
Okay.
Zach gets it correct and saves himself. Grant, your question doesn't really matter because, unfortunately, Zach has upset you this week.
That's okay.
But we will still ask you a question anyway, if you'd like.
I mean, I can take it. I'm a
Okay.
big boy.
All right. This one, I'm just going to show off just your general hockey knowledge. Name every single team Wayne Gretzky played for.
Oh, there was a lot of them. He played for, or a couple of them,
Okay.
Edmonton Oilers.
Mhm.
He played for the St. Louis Blues
Yes.
for a season. I think he played for 2 more, because I think he played for 4 altogether, but I do not remember the other 2.
Fair enough. I don't remember either. I was just seeing if you did.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I thought you had it written down.
I
somewhere.
don't.
I know
No, I was-
I know the Oilers and the St. Louis Blues for sure.
that was
He
a throwaway question.
He
at that point.
yeah, he went to the Blues for 1 season and made it to the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost.
All right.
They did not win the cup with Gretzky.
Fair.
But it was fun to say that he was on the Blues.
I was going to say,
for-
you as a Blues fan must have been like, yeah, he played for us.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with Martin Brodeur. He was there for he played for us for 7 games. It was like, yeah, Martin Brodeur was a Blue.
Still counts.
It was,
he was on the team. He wore the jersey. He has stats.
There was in a thing to Brodeur for retiring. They gave jerseys. There was like a package you could buy, and it was like the Devils jersey, and he played with them for 21 seasons. Like, there's a Blues jersey there. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a little ridiculous. He played there
Still
for
counts, though.
he
Still
played there
counts.
for 7 games.
I'm surprised
Hey.
Atlanta hasn't tried to milk the Brett Favre thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's just like my Jets Favre jersey.
You hold on to that thing. He played for them.
Or the Jets Favre combo jersey.
I've
or
seen those.
The ones that have Green Bay in there as well.
I've seen the 3 ones where it's the Vikings, the Jets, and the Packers.
Right.
All on the same jersey.
On the back, is that a hawk?
You might need to. Yeah, exactly. But with just a little bit of time remaining in the show, I know Megan and Zach, you kind of joined the show a little bit later, but you guys are both Packer fans in that regards. Give us your quick little thoughts on the Letroy Guyon situation and what you think is going to happen to him.
Well, personally, I'm really disappointed because I was just talking to someone the other day about how, all these other teams, when Deflategate came out or whatever scandals going on in the NFL, the Packers generally are not in that news. We have players that are relatively quiet. They don't cause a lot of trouble. They come, they play, and that's it. So to have a guy who's now making national news and is, causing
The wrong type of national news.
right, and is causing all this trouble, it's kind of disappointing for the Packers. And I don't think he'll be back next season, like you were talking about earlier.
No, unfortunately.
So, yeah.
Zach, any thoughts about that with the last minute and a half of the show remaining?
I like Megan said, I'm kind of disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, Green Bay is while the other teams in the NFL are scandalous, Green Bay is scandalous.
I see what you did
see
there.
what you did there.
Terrible.
Well
pun.
done. Well done.
But I like to watch What You Might Have Missed, and it's Green Bay Packers put it out. Mike Spofford is the host of that, and this season he talked about Letroy Guyon and Mike Daniels, and Mike Daniels and Letroy Guyon more than anybody else on that D-line. So I think we're really going to miss him if he doesn't come back next year. We'll have to find someone to replace him.
Yeah, I think he'll have a lot of legal repercussions that he won't be able to come back, and I don't know if the Packers will let him back at all. So
They might have to go into the free agent market, which is a funny joke, or they'll more than likely draft his replacement. But thank you again, Zach and Megan, for stopping by. It's been a pleasure. Well done, Zach. You are this week's Bax and Grant Sports Show Trivia Champion. I'm sorry, Grant.
I gave it to him.
I know you did. You're a very nice man. For everyone here at the Bax and Grant Sports Show, we will see you all on Monday when our official deal with Sports Radio America starts up. We are super excited. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all on Monday.